Good afternoon. I'm Parker Paget.
I'm Tony Wynn.
And this is another installment of our Vinyl Vault. And today we are looking at the ninth studio album from the Commodores, and that is In the Pocket. This came out in 1981. It is known as the last studio album that Lionel Richie did with the Commodores before he started his solo career. And so last week we talked about heavy metals, thrash metal, and so today we're kind of dialing it a little back with some R&B and soul, a little bit of funk. And Tony, I imagine this was a kind of a deviation off of your usual listening playlist.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I do listen to a lot of different music, but it is more catered towards your hard rock opposed to funk and ballads, which was pretty much the entire album for the most part was a fast-paced, fun dance type music, and then songs about girls that aren't yours. Or
Okay.
lady of the nights. I mean, that's what I took from the
we will
from the
dive
album.
into that. Yeah. So this album features looks like four singles were released. The first one is the most major hit from the album, and it's Lady, in parentheses, You Bring Me Up. And that was released in June of 81. The other singles on this album is Oh No, which was track 4 on side 1, Why You Want to Try Me, which is track 1 of side 2, and Lucy, the aforementioned song that you interpreted as, you just talk to me about that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, upon first listening to it, and the entire album, obviously it's the last song in it, all the songs are, it's written by different people. So it's kind of, if you're in the mindset that it's one person talking about one girl like the whole time, that's not the case. And then when you get to Lucy, it's very much, at least in my interpretation of what the lyrics are, which I think were pretty straightforward, that Lionel Richie had a crush on a lady of the night, and wanted to make her his.
I think the one thing we can both agree on with this specific song is he's definitely into this woman. Mm-hmm. I didn't get the same vibe of her career, but there's definitely lines that hint to something of that magnitude. I know certain lines that stuck out as he talks about how this woman has a lot of men all over her. He wants her because he sees other people want her.
And it could just be a very desirable woman, and he wishes he was his. Mm-hmm. I just took it very much like, no, this is a professional woman.
It started out kind of, I think maybe an acoustic guitar, maybe it kind of started out with, and then it's one of those songs that builds. I personally liked the latter half of it whenever the full band was playing and there was some background singers, and they just kept saying Lucy over and over. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that song was written by Richie. This whole album has, I think, maybe 4 or 5 different writers, and I imagine some of them are probably. Let me look here. My notes. Most of the people that wrote these songs are either in the Commodores or played on the album. Mm-hmm. For example, one of the additional personnel in our research is Harold Hudson. He played keyboards, trumpet, and he did some vocals. And he wrote he had his hand in a couple of songs with this. And so, so I mean, this 1981, it went platinum, sold 1 million copies. I think its peak was in the R&B charts for Billboard. It peaked at number 4. I personally enjoy the album. I like it has this. I think my favorite song on it is not. It's probably Lady, but Saturday Night. This track 2. I thoroughly enjoyed that one because it starts off this like slow R&B with this bass line that's just overwhelming, and it really sets the tone. About whoever sings. It's not Lionel singing. Mm-hmm. He only sings, I think, he sings a lot of these songs. He doesn't sing every song. Mm-hmm. But this gentleman's talking about how Saturday night he wants to have some fun. No idea what that fun is, but in 1981 that could have meant something different. But it just has this like, Tony, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but I have read that one of the best compliments you can give music is kind of like it's a certain kind of face. It's like a stank face.
The stank face, yeah.
Like when you're sitting there, you're listening to it, and your head's bobbing, you're like, yeah. That was me the entire song. It was just straight stank face the whole time. That's not a thing. We need to know.
Oh, we're keeping it. Keeping it.
And you know, our research has this album listed as a soul album. I personally felt this was more R&B and funk, but maybe I'm not an expert at soul. But 8 tracks, 36 minutes. I mean, it's a good. I personally like it. Tony, give me some of your highlights.
Yeah, I gave it a listen. Actually, I gave it three listens, and my third time around, I was like, okay. Like my first time around, I was leaning more towards the beginning, the first half, and then my second go around, I was analyzing it more with the lyrics and everything like that. And the third time around, I was like, actually, no, I kind of like all of it, like consistently, all of it. I mean, a lot of it kind of blends together, but I think it's just because, it's completely new to me. But that being said, I think I had the same reaction when Saturday Night came on. And honestly, to me, the best part of the whole album is the bass. I think the bassist just has some really, really great licks, really, really great. Just it drives everything. And obviously, especially the more funk-based songs and everything like that. But I distinctly remember my first go of listening to Saturday Night and be like, oh, I've got to write this down because, you feel it, right off the bat. And so...
And credit is where credit's due. Looks like Ronald LaPred is the main bass player with the group. So shout out to him for bringing the funk.
Bringing the funk. Going through the tracks, to me, Lady, Saturday Night, I think right off the bat, what's the first track of these?
Oh, the Why You Want to Try Me.
Why You Want to Try Me? Yeah, I think I had. I'm
so tempted to sing these.
Yeah, honestly, like all the funk tracks I really, really enjoyed. The ballads, have really, really great like melody choices and just the chord structures and everything like that. Like the Commodores are just cool.
The one song that I think is interesting, and it's one of those songs that if you listen to it, you almost think you're listening to a different song, and then you're reminded about 8 bars in. That's like, for example, Been Loving You. It's track 3 of side 2, and every time it starts, I don't know why, I don't know how, but every time it starts, I think it's Lenny Kravitz's "It Ain't Over Till It's Over" with the the horns in the beginning, and I'm thinking, okay, did I hit shuffle on accident? Why is Lenny Kravitz playing? No, it's still the Commodores. And I don't know if that was some like a sample that he had used in that song, because that song came out a lot later than this album. But yeah, definitely Lucy's an interesting one. But there's a couple songs I was talking to you about earlier. Oh No, specifically, and then This Love. They're almost, how did I phrase it? They're like prom songs. They're songs that were, like, I'm listening to them, and it feels like I'm at like an 80s prom, and then the DJ just said, let's slow it down, and then he puts, one of these songs on, and it's meant to
slow dance.
A slow dance.
Yeah.
I did want to talk about the cover, because I have a theory. I have a theory, and we love theories. The album cover for this is it's someone's backside, but it's zoomed in on specifically the right pocket, and the pocket says Commodores, and then in the pocket is a photo of the Commodores. So my theory is that way before our time, Tony, ancient scrolls in the 80s, 60s, 70s, 80s, there used to be a thing, you may remember this, It was I think it's Beverly Hills Cop has a scene kind of like this where people are walking. But anyway, the point is that I think in the 80s and the 70s, if you were going steady with somebody, if you were dating somebody, you would walk with them and you would put your hand in their back pocket. And so I don't know if this is a reference to that or it's a romance thing or what, but like whenever I woke up this morning, I was looking at the album cover and I went, oh, they're literally in the back pocket. And so I was like, I wonder if that's,
yeah,
you know, it's better than my Van Halen theory.
Yeah, honestly, I couldn't get past. There's a phrase of like when you're in like in a flow, like being in the pocket. That's very much a, you know, like, and especially in music when you're just perfectly on the beat or like whatever the rhythm is supposed to be, you're definitely in it. And again, it just kind of goes back to like what I really liked about the album was just the bass playing was like, oh yeah, like he was in the pocket. And I couldn't get past that. So
I think the phrase has been altered for generations after us, in the bag, which I've used it personally in this series. I think this is a great album. I think the Commodores are at their best when they're playing, you know, songs faster than 80 beats a minute. I know a lot of people, you know, we talked about between this and another Commodores album, I think it was Midnight Magic, and it had Sail On, which is one of the Commodores and Lionel's biggest hits, and then Still, which is a very slow song about Lionel having feelings for somebody. Still,
Lucy,
probably Lucy. But I know that some people love the slower songs. I think the Commodores were made to play funky soul, and I think they've done that here.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Commodores are best suited for the real funk. Like, I think that's really their sound, especially when you go through like Brick House or something like that. But when I think of Lionel Richie, I definitely think of like the ballads whenever he goes on to do like Endless Love or, you know, things like or Hello, you know, like to me, Richie is you know, like the ballad guy. And it's always surprising, but it makes sense that, you know, like, oh yeah, he was also, you know, the sort of the lead in the Commodores. But like, to me, yeah, the Commodores are it's the funk, fun music.
Well, Lionel Richie went on to do that solo career, and correct me if I'm wrong, or anybody correct me if I'm wrong. I'm 90% sure his first album was Can't Slow Down, and that one had Hello. It had Running in the Night, which that's my favorite Lionel Richie song in general. But it, you know, he kind of you could tell whenever he went solo that he tried to take some of the Commodores' style with him, but just propping himself up as the solo artist. But yeah, they went on to release more albums after Lionel left. It shows so this came out in 81. And then Heroes came out in 80, and then after Richie left, they did Love Songs in 82. I mean, they were just pumping out albums every single year. I don't know if these guys ever had a break, but I don't know. You got any final thoughts on this one? I personally enjoy it. I wish I had more time to dive into the history of it compared to our previous episodes we've done.
No, not really. I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward. I mean, I didn't really think that there was any real structure to it all, just because it's different writers and whatnot. If anything, I feel like the Lionel Richie written songs, you could tell that he was like, yeah, I'm thinking maybe I want to do my own thing, like, because it's very Lionel Richie. It's very what's to come with this album. So that being said, the album in itself is fantastic, and yeah, it's definitely something that I could see myself going back to, or at least if I hear it again and be like, oh yeah, like this is great. And it was a good album.
Yeah, I think if I'll put it this way, if we ever explore the Commodores again, I don't know an album that's going to reach this height. In my opinion, like I said, and like Tony has said, there are other Commodore albums that have much more commercial success, or they may have more successful singles. But you're correct. This isn't a concept album. This isn't an album that was meant to call for an action or spark a change. This was just guys being guys, putting out songs about girls.
Yeah.
I think they did a great job at it. I have final thoughts from me. I really don't have much. There's a couple songs in here, like I said, they're kind of like that prom music. Those are skips for me. I think I'm still searching for the first album with no skips. Not that you can skip anything on vinyl, but that's going to do it for us here at the Ozarks First Digital Desk with another segment of Vinyl Vault. As always, I'm Parker.
I'm Tony.